Hi and welcome everybody. My name is Ellen and I'm Head of Community here at Epicenter Stockholm. So Epicenter is a house of digital innovation and we're driven by knowledge network in this space with digital innovators. Everything from startups, a lot of scale-ups and a lot of corporates. And why are we doing these sessions? Because we want to learn and develop together in order to create growth. And today we have a masterclass. We have a 40-minute masterclass. You have a chat, so you can always type and chat with us and Adam, who's doing all the technical part behind the scenes. And today is corporate upskilling and modernizing the workforce. And for that, we have two speakers from SALT, that is School of Applied Technology. So I'm going to welcome them. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. And if you want to contact me, just type in the chat and we'll speak soon. Enjoy the session, and I'll leave it to Patrick and Marcus.
Thank you, Ellen. And as Ellen says, this today is a masterclass where we're going to be talking about corporate upskilling and the modernization of the workforce. I am Patrick Hamilton Walsh. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at SALT, and my colleague is Marcus Hammerberry, who is the Head of Quality and Curriculum at School of Applied Technology, SALT as we call it. We are working with many corporations across the Nordics and the Netherlands to provide upskilling and reskilling services to a wide range of companies, as you will see later. But today what we're going to deal with is the issue of upskilling and talent in particular. Because the real reason why we're here today is that we're finding that the talent crisis is getting exponentially worse and the challenge is becoming bigger for corporations to sort of solve this problem. The World Economic Forum have already said that talent and not capital will be the key factor linking innovation, competitiveness and growth as we move forward in the coming years and decades. Gaining access to talent has progressively become the most important decision-making factor for C-suite and decision makers across the world. It has got to the stage that not only will this impact upon how they run their day-to-day businesses, but it will also become a core deciding factor on the establishment of regional headquarters. If the talent is not available in the location, they just won't turn up there. And therefore, as you can imagine, the competition to attract talent is becoming fierce. And for those organizations that don't partake and are not having a strategic approach to this, the risks are going to be high. So let's break this right down and ask the question, do we have a problem here? Because we all know that the population of the Earth is rapidly increasing year on year. But what people are sort of surprised to learn is that the availability of highly talented individuals has been declining every year since 2010. And that was the year whenever we hit the tipping point where the baby boomer generation were retiring and leaving the workforce at a faster rate than the new talent was coming in. And it seems sort of counterproductive, but the real reason for that is that we have a massive mismatch between what the universities are teaching and the skills that the market and employers require. And this is because economies have transformed into knowledge societies. And to enable the next phases of productivity and growth, almost all jobs and everyone who's working, particularly within the Western world initially, will have to be upskilled within the job that they're currently in. And that's because jobs are changing at such a rapid pace, as I will sort of detail in a few moments. COVID-19 and the global pandemic that we have been dealing with for the last 15 months has had such a massive impact on our world. My personal opinion is that it didn't so much act as a change agent, but it was more of an accelerant. The future was pulled forward a lot faster. So we have actually got to where we were going to be. That's why I say it's not a change. It's a pulling forward. So in the space of 10 days last March, we actually had the progress that was going to take us already 10 years, and now we're there. And this is what it's about. It's about the migration of tasks. Statistics are already starting to indicate that approximately 1 billion jobs will be reconfigured already before the end of this decade. We have seen all the dystopic reports detailing how AI is going to replace humans in the workplace. And I believe that robots are going to take our jobs is one of the most wrongly repeated prophecies of the past decade. AI, of course, will lead to many changes within the workplace, for sure. However, what we do know is that the more technologically advanced our society becomes, the more dependent we are on highly talented individuals and people with the skills to perform the tasks. Jobs will be lost, but it will create more work than is lost. So is this the great threat that everyone's been sort of predicting in the mainstream media, or is this a generational opportunity for growth? Well, it depends how you see it. It can be both. It will, for sure, be catastrophic for those organizations who are not planning strategically on how to solve this issue. However, the organizations that strategize and are putting in the foundations from which to build talent will benefit handsomely. And let's break this down to the individual level. What does it mean for them? Well, literally what this does is it's probably a generational opportunity again for people to have an opportunity to re-energize, to redevelop, and to re-establish their careers. But this is an opportunity which has to be taken both at a personal level and at a corporate level, and it has to be invested in. And let's delve deeper into this. This is a chart that shows us the growth of certain skills and knowledge over time, how it reaches a peak and then dies off because other things become more relevant. This is at a quite a short level, and we can probably all recognize how some skills were really valuable 5 to 10 years ago and have sort of died off as other skills have become more prevalent. And we look at this in a historical chart going back to the 2,000 years. We can see that skills back in the earliest days might have lasted for 1,000 years before they died out, such as being able to make a fire. Things, valuable skills. Now we have other technologies which have overcome that. But when we move forward towards the Industrial Revolution, we can see that skills started to become outdated a little bit more as the technology increased. And now when we look at the technological revolution, we can see that skills and their value are being replaced at a lot faster rate, and the skill level is going up as well. So with that in mind, I want you to imagine a world where the data scientist team are 25-year-old, not 25-year-old, 25-year tenured veterans. They've been in your company for 25 years, but when they started their career, they worked in the finance team. I want you to imagine a world where a full-stack JavaScript developer and all the people around them within the team are all women. And I want you to imagine a world where the software testers are those who once worked in marketing. Because whenever teams start to value learning, flexibility, and loyalty over the latest and coolest and most trendiest IT degree, then we can start to create that world. Because tenured staff who have been working loyally for an organization and are continually upskilled with their knowledge and training to meet the corporate challenges of today and tomorrow are actually where the solution can lie here, because these people want to continue working within your organizations. And it means now we have to make a choice. I've outlined the problem, and now we have to see what is the way forward from this. Of course, we have the traditional way of meeting this digital challenge. What you can do is that you can, of course, take a hit on the staff who have been loyal to you, pay them off, tell them that their skills are no longer valuable, and go through a hiring process, look in the market, see what's available, and then onboard the ones who are willing to move to your company. When you get them in, of course, there's going to be a natural churn because the values, the culture within your organization may not fit what the vision of how these new talents like to work. So you're going to have a natural level of churn of maybe between 7 to 15% drop off per year of people who want to work in another type of organization, which of course puts you into a spiral of constantly trying to hire and keep it up. And last but not least, there's a certain level of bad publicity that comes with paying off staff and having a high turnover ratio of new staff, which all leads to reputational damage and costs a lot of money. And my background is I'm an accountant and a lawyer, and when I look at it from just a numbers perspective, and I look at your balance sheet, what I see here on your profit and loss is a massive liability, because this costs a lot of money to make this happen, and it doesn't do your reputation any good either. Then there's the other way, which is the SALT method. How we like to do it is we like to look within your organization, work with your HR and leadership teams, and see what skill sets are available, because skills are cross-transferable. We can recycle the staff you have and build them into a modern workforce. From that, we can mold them into new teams together, working towards strategic goals from the first day. Not only that, we try to figure out what are your real company issues that you're trying to solve. Where do you want to be within 3 to 6 months and 3 to 6 years? We worked with your company issues and we train them to solve those issues. As the training unfolds, we have a feedback loop into the HR team on the performance of individuals so that they can understand who's in their team and what their values are. And of course, the goal is always to provide you with a working solution. So why work on ideas when we can work with real material, real data? So our goal is to have each team provide an MVP at the end of the course, which they can then continue to work and mold and get better at. And how does this look from again a financial perspective? Whenever companies are being valued for takeover, in today's value and in today's world, each full stack JavaScript developer is now valued at 1.2 million kroners. So if we can upskill 10 of those for you, you've just added 12 million kroners of assets to your balance sheet. So this not only does this training fix all your issues, but it pays for itself from the day that the people graduate. So at SALT Upskill, we are working to make that world a reality for all employees, regardless of age, gender, where they're from. Take away all that. We just look at the skill set of the individuals, and we want them to win for you and for themselves, so that they can continue to work and develop their careers and to help your organization to win. Because within every team, there are great employees who simply began their career in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, which was a time when other skills were more highly valued. But it doesn't mean that they can't be upskilled now and brought into the game. And in a world of churn, that experience that they have of your organization and the loyalty that they have shown to you is so valuable. And I can tell you this, it will become increasingly valued as you try to solve these digital skills and people are more mobile. And this is because within every single organization, there are people who we call stars, and that's because they have been skilled through alternative routes. They should be given a chance to work in this digital world that we're moving into. In fact, we don't really have a choice because there's not enough people to meet the demand already. And these people are really capable of meeting the digital challenges that your organization faces, and they should be given that opportunity to do so. So, what is the key here? The key is actually a mixture between traditional and digital education. Many companies, as we see, have been considering digitally enabled learning solutions for their teams, where they put a lot of courses up online and people download them and they get a free hour over lunchtime and they work through them, and at the end they get a certificate and they tick the box. it doesn't work. We all know it doesn't. It really is like putting lipstick on a pig. It makes it look good and it makes it look like you're building solutions. The truth is you're wasting time for everyone. And the companies who bet on that technological approach only will realize probably a bit too late that they have taken the wrong choice. Because the digital way is fantastic, because what it does is it gives us exponential reach and speed, so people can have like a 1 hour course which they complete during their lunchtime. However, if you're truly about changing skills, leadership and culture within your organization, then that's a lot more linear. So how we approach this is that we combine the world's best educators with the latest technology to enable proven teaching methods that work the best and create the best outcomes for the individuals and for the teams overall. Because the technological change that we're currently living through is actually a people challenge. The technology is the easy part. It's about getting the people upgraded. And this is how we do it. We've worked with many of Sweden's and in the world, in fact, biggest organization to help get developers into their organizations using a funnel which is like this, where we can talk to your HR team. They can give us, I'm just using examples here for the sake of this, 150 profiles of people that they would like to consider to be put forward to work, let's say, as data scientists. We will look at their applications, we will put them through personality tests, we'll do interviews, and out of that, it may only find out that, say, 50 of the 150 we've been given are actually really ready to go into this. But that gives you 5 new teams of 10. And those 5 teams will give you 5 MVPs, 5 products which you can use. They will give you 5 different approaches and ways of working which you didn't have. And for us, it's all about matching the person to the task and using what they have inherently built into them to continue to go forward. These are some of the courses we offer. We offer .NET. Of course, we offer the JavaScript full stack developer course, data science, security devs, DevOps, and training devs. And we do this in a modular fashion, as Marcus is going to show you. But the most important thing is that we realize that all individuals within our organizations are different, and they all bring their own benefits and own strengths and weaknesses to the table. But when they all work together, we actually can move forward quite fast.
Thank you, Patrick. It actually reminds me of a story about a man that worked in the old factory. And he was retired, and all the new guys, they took the digital course and they learned this machine. But you know what? On the first day, they heard a problem. The machine was not working properly. So they called in the old man, and he stood in front of the machine for quite some time, and he just listened and reflected. And then he took a white chalk and just added an X on it, picked up a sledgehammer and just hit it the hardest he can, and all of a sudden the machine started to work again. And they were all amazed, of course. How could you know that? They said. Well, I just know. So how much do you want for this? And he said, well, pay me $10,000. Oh, that's a little bit steep, my friend. What is it for? So he specified his job, and he said, hitting with the sledgehammer, $1. Knowing where to hit, $9,999. And this is actually what it's all about, and that you have been talking about, that nowadays IT has actually changed quite a lot. It's not your grandpa's programmer anymore. It's not like you see this girl here that is very young and her eyes is even filled with code, right? Actually, programming and software development, for example, it looks a lot like this nowadays. You work in tightly knitted teams. And if you take a close look here, you can see a lot of diversity. You would see people that have different age and different gender, of course, but also different skills. So the picture down at the left corner there, that's a couple of accountants, one developer, and one business architect working together to solve a problem. Because what I've reflected on after being a developer for about 25 years is that the majority of my day is not spent coding. It's actually spent solving business problems. And we need to think long and hard before we start to actually write the code. Just because I type faster doesn't make me a better programmer. It's the wetware that works. And nowadays, programming in itself has also changed. It's much more like building Legos than writing the individual Lego pieces from scratch. Let's again take the example of a data scientist. Here's a picture I found online with the must-have skills of a data scientist. You must have skills in math and stats, programming and databases, and DevOps, mind you well, and communication and visualization. And that's the three important skills, but the most important one is domain knowledge. What are we solving? What problem are we solving? How will this model help the business? And here's the thing, if you find someone that has all of this, that's actually impossible because the domain knowledge comes from your company. You might find a really good programmer with math and communication skills, but that person doesn't know the domain knowledge, which is the hardest part, if I'm quite honest. Knowing and correctly utilizing the business opportunity of your business, it's the hardest part. And the other skills can actually be acquired quite quickly. So that it's not as hard as learning how the domain of the business works. And we are coming out a little bit cocky here, I feel, but we can actually say this with confidence because I've already done this. We have a reskilling program where people apply and go to our school for 3 months. And they come from all kinds of backgrounds. They might have been a marketing person or a lawyer or a driver or an accountant. And in 3 months, we can actually turn them into a developer. I know this because we have done it already about 300 times. 300 of our consultants are working at your companies. So I'm going to let you in on our secret sauce. Here's our secret recipe, applied learning. We want to teach the skill that you need today. And by doing that, we can actually cut some corners. So the first thing that we do is a very simple but very powerful tool to program together in a group called mob programming. Or actually, some people refer to it now as ensemble programming. Mob programming doesn't ring as good in Swedish. And in a mob programmer, you would have one person at the keyboard and a couple of other people, 3 or 4, that are the navigators. So the person at the keyboard doesn't take any initiative. This means that we share the knowledge in the team all along. Not only that, we'll also share our experiences. So Patrick has the experience of an accountant and a lawyer, and that would be perfect for our fintech company, right? Can we even do this? What if we did this? Now we have the skill in the team. And you know what? Picking up the programming skill that is necessary, it's not hard in a mob because it's the mob that's writing the code. I know of stories where chief editors of newspapers has taken part in the mobs. Another part to our secret recipe is motivation. What we have seen is that motivated people can actually learn immensely amounts of knowledge in a short period of time. So that this is both a key skill to our success, but also a little bit of a problem. If you don't find the motivation, you will not get through it. The people at the picture here, I would not take 10 minutes of their behavior, but they want to do this. That's why they can stand it. Another part of our secret recipe is that we're training people in the things that the developer does that is not programming, and that's quite a lot. This is the most hideous slide of our presentation, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that we are training in our reskilling program people in. So for example, the first day I came to a job after university, I had no idea what a build script even was. I never done a retro, I never done a daily stand-up. I didn't know anything about teamwork, but coming out of a SALT program, you have rubbed shoulders with the people that you will be working with already for the duration of the program and gone through the forming, storming, norming phases. And a final point here is that what we do is that we go narrow and deep. Whereas the picture on the right in this slide is actually how I was educated at university. I had the breadth of knowledge, but to be quite honest, I hope that no one of my teachers are listening now, but to be quite honest, I only used a fraction of that in my job. And I picked up new skills on the way. So what we do instead is that we provide very narrow education within a certain field to really pinpoint the skills that you would need to be productive from day one. And we do this in a modular approach where we can configure modules from courses from 1 to 13 weeks. And if you go a whole 13-week program, that is 500 coding hours. Why is that important? Well, it turns out that that's actually more coding than you would get in a 4-year university training. And we do this in a professional team setting. So already from day one, we will throw you in a team where you will work at during the duration of the course. And as Patrick has said a couple of times already, for our longer courses, we also do a final project where you will actually build something, and that could be something that could be used within your company. How about taking a stab at rebranding the website, for example? Or how about getting that first model for your data scientists team to continue to work on, nailed down within this confinements of a secure and protected education forum? Our program overview looks a little bit like this, and this is where Patrick's ideas on the hybrid education comes in. So we select employees, and then we take them through some basic training that might need to be filled up. In this case, we have JavaScript, but that might be Python or math. If I were to take that course, for example, I probably need some math skills. Then we do the meat of the education, which will be on-site, or in these times, we have a remote facility that we use, where we train deeply in the topics that will be the applied knowledge that you need in order to be a productive team member. Finally, work placement happens back in at the companies that the people came from, and now we have an upskilled team coming back, where before it might be a bunch of individuals with previous knowledge. So putting that out to a timeline would look something like this maybe, where you can actually have a 1, 2, or 3 months education within our confinement and in our program, and it will look something like this laid out in a calendar. We mentioned the companies that we have been working with, but remember that at these companies, these are just a few of the companies that we have been working with, and within these companies, we now have people that used to be a driver, and now is maintaining key applications at Klarna, SEB, Lendo, Coop, or what have you. This will be a really boring slide if I read all of that. So, summarizing, there is a talent shortage in the world, and getting talent is a key trait of successful businesses. However, the solution to this problem might be within your own organization. In fact, I wager that that's a faster way to get to the talent than to hire people. And there are other, as Patrick outlined as well, there's other benefits to that approach as well. And the opportunity here is that we can help you to get this done already. We have already tried it for a couple of years, and as I said, with 300 people out working in the industry right now. So what I wanted you to take home now is a new pair of glasses to look at your employees, where you can see the person sitting at the marketing department and think about them as someone that would be part of a full-stack software development team. Or you can see the people working in the CFO office and think about how great they would be in a data scientist team. Or the skill that we're thinking about phasing out, what opportunities lies ahead for those people? There might be a lot of different skills that can be trained. And if you do that, they will bring all the experience from the company with them. and the culture of your company will be saved in the process as well. So with that, we wanted to say thank you so much. We don't have a Q&A today. I hear that there's been some chatting going on in the background, but we would love to reach out to you. Or if you have any questions at all about this, please reach us on these email addresses, and we'll do the best we can to help. So thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you, Elin and Adam, and for everyone that took time out of their day to join us here. Thank you for your attention. Bye.